For addiction recovery. We need to consider the whole person. And transformation happens on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. So today we're going to look at the mental level. So I invite you to take a moment and just notice where you are mentally right now. And if you like, you can take out your journal and go ahead and write down where you're at right now. This is something that you could make a practice out of. Maybe do this every day and seeing where you're at with these different levels. Just noticing where you are right now. And as always, as I always say, no judgment here, just where you're at today. Okay, so now that you have some sort of an idea where you're at mentally right now, let's dig into it a little bit more. So, the mental level is, in my mind, something I look at after I start to look at the physical level. So, if you saw my other video about the physical level, you could go back to that if you haven't seen it. And then I like to look at this level next. And I basically just check in and see where I am every day, specifically around my mental health. And my mental health is something that's really, 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 really critical, very important, and something that goes hand in hand just with the physical level as well as the other levels when we talk about holistic wellness. If it's off, all the other ones are potentially going to be as well. So when I'm looking at this, I personally will also use this journaling technique to see where I am today and maybe see if there is some sort of reason why I may be a certain way. Maybe I am just very tired. Maybe I didn't exercise like I wanted to, or maybe I exercised too much, or maybe I just didn't eat right. So going back to that physical a little bit there and seeing where that's at. And that is all okay. Where am I at with my program? Where am I at if I'm still using what? How does that affect you mentally? I mean, it it does the substances like that we abuse do not do anything good to our brains. And if our brains aren't working very well, we're not going to be very well mentally. It's just a fact. And then once we put the substance down, we start to clear out a little bit, start to clear up mentally. So things may still be a little awkward, things may not be correct. You may be doing something and you're just like, oh, this, I'm not understanding, or maybe there's a little bit of brain fog, or there's some other things going on there that can affect you mentally. There could also be maybe there's a certain event going on in your life. Something's happening. I don't know, some sort of change, some sort of, it could be good or bad. That can affect us equally. We could be very, very happy about something, but just be very mentally tired about it. Maybe you're planning a wedding or something, and that's a great thing. But anybody who's gotten married and has planned a big wedding knows that it can be very mentally draining on you as well as physically draining as well. And it's something to look at. So, are there any big events going on? Or are there any big things happening that may be taking you away mentally from where you'd like to be? Just looking all that. And it doesn't have, like I said, doesn't have to necessarily be something bad. It could be a good thing. And then those of us who have separated from the substance for a little bit of time and we're going on in our recovery journey, again, life happens as it does, and things may affect us mentally. We may need to seek some other kind of assistance to help us with that. And there is nothing wrong with saying, I need help. I need to go to therapy, figuring out what kind of therapy you need, because there's so many different kinds. So looking at all this stuff and knowing and having some self-awareness behind it will help you to determine the kind of help that you need. And when it comes to some of this mental stuff, it's really, really also great to run it by somebody, a trusted friend, a sponsor if you're in a 12-step program. Maybe you already have a therapist and you're running it by them, which is be great. someone else to kind of talk to about this stuff, to be like, is this really real? Does this make sense? Am I understanding? And just bouncing ideas off someone that knows you pretty well and that can try to assist you. And you feel safe and comfortable with, of course, and that you trust. That's really, really important as well. And then also from a mental standpoint, our environments. Who are we around? What kind of work do we do? What do we surround ourselves with every day? Me maybe participating in something that's not so great, very not mentally stimulating. Maybe there's a lot of just boring television after a long day of work, and maybe that's not very mentally stimulating, and you're just maybe feeling a certain way about that, maybe looking at that, maybe also looking at just activities in general. Maybe they're too overstimulating. Maybe you're doing too much stuff and you need to just take a break. And again, going back to that physical piece, just rest. As much as we need physical rest, also mental rest is really, really important. And just starting to look at all that stuff. And again, there's no judgment here. We all are can get off balance at any point in time. The biggest thing is just to make sure that we're aware of it. And then taking some action around it if that's what's needed. Maybe it's just the awareness and that's enough. And it's, oh, I just need to take a break here. I have 20 projects going on. I just can't do all of this. Right? There may be that whole asking for help element as well. Because if we just mentally can't process anything anymore, the brain can actually do some pretty amazing things to shut things down so that we don't have to. And that's an extreme case, but that can occur. And it's something else to look at if you're feeling extremely overwhelmed and there's just a lot of things, just maybe the brain feels muddled and things just aren't mentally making a lot of sense to you. So all those things are very, very critical. And going back to also, maybe there's particular people in your life. Maybe there's a particular relationship or a particular thing that's happening with others that's just mentally taking a toll on you. It's draining you. Or the opposite. Maybe it's really great and happy and you're just on the other end of that extreme. So trying to keep ourselves in the middle as much as we can is also very, very important. So just becoming aware of all of these things. And from a mental standpoint too, there's also things you can do like little brain games and all that kind of stuff if you feel like you're having issues with memory or you just want to make sure you stay sharp. It's something I personally do is I play music. I'm actually learning how to play music because I did not learn when I was younger, so I'm doing that now, and I feel like it really does help me to stay mentally focused. It's doing a lot of good for my brain, and there's brain science behind this that actually does show that it does help you to play music and read sheet music and play. You don't have to do that, but just an idea. There's also all kinds of brain games and puzzles and Sudoku and whatever you're into, anything that you can try to do to mentally stimulate yourself in that way helps the brain and will also help you in general. So starting to look at any of that, if that's something you're noticing, there's plenty of resources out there. I mean, I could go on and on about that. You could just look, Google's a great thing in that regard to look up and see the kind of stuff you could do. And also, I'm going to talk about meditation. Meditation is so important for our brains, for our mental health. It is so critical. I have yet to find a person that says meditation's bad for you. I I cannot find a person. So I do help people with meditation. If it's something you're interested in, please reach out to me. I could definitely help you with it. There's stuff on my YouTube channel. There's stuff all over the place. I mean, there's so many resources when it comes to meditation. And what's cool about meditation too is that there's different kinds. You can find out what works for you. And that's what's really, really great about all this stuff that we do in recovery is we're looking at this like we're talking about today, and we're just finding something that works for us and that helps us. And that's different for everybody. And what works for me isn't going to work for you and vice versa, and it's just an amazing process. I just love it so much. So I hope you got a little bit out of this today, some ways that you can help yourself on the mental level. And as always, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to help you with all of this stuff. You can go to my website, thepeacewecrave.com. uh, book a call with me. Let's talk. Let's get connected and see how I could help you. So thank you so much and enjoy. Stay well.